Has someone told you that Christians are not allowed to use contraceptives, and you found this video because you want to know why? Or perhaps you've heard this statement before, but it doesn't sit well with you and you want some balanced thinking?
In this video, we're going to try and answer the question, can Christians use contraception? Does the Bible talk about this directly? No, it does not. But it does address directly things in our personalities and characters that we should be using in order to answer these kinds of questions. Number one, the Bible does talk about principal things like being kind to one another, having wisdom, having discernment, that kind of thing. Knowing God well enough to be able to answer him a question and get some kind of leading back. Those are the things that the Bible does directly talk about. So therefore, the Bible does have something to share when we want to answer these questions.
Exactly. Firstly, when you're thinking about contraception, what is your motives as to why you want to use it? If you're wanting to use contraception so that you're able to have casual sex and not have the consequences of a possible pregnancy, I hate to break it to you,
But
that's not what God designed sex for in the very first place. So what you're actually doing is giving yourself a way out, a get out of jail free card, and trying to avoid the consequences of what your sin is.
But if inside marriage, now you've got a bit of research and some thinking to do. So for example, are the things that you're looking at, are they preventative or abortive? We would very much recommend the preventative method rather than the abortive method. Now that can come in a load of different ways. So basically, think of it like this. If the two elements are not joined, then no new life has a chance. So preventative would be better than abortive, even if it's a case of I don't know if a life has taken place. You can't just think, oh, I'm guilt-free because I don't know. Don't do that. So you need to know whether what you're looking at is actually a preventative type of contraception or an abortive type of contraception. The two are different.
Exactly, and what people may think, well, what about the verse that says that God knows us in the womb and you knit me in my mother's womb, and that kind of those verses. And I think to think about that is when a child is conceived, is what is your conviction as to when life actually starts? This is when you need to have conversations with you and the person you're with your spouse as to this kind of thought process. Because when it talks about you knew me in my mother's womb, it's me when the sperm and the egg meet. That is when we believe when a human life starts, when a person is created. And so that is when the me, that pronoun, comes into effect, when it is that person is then created. But when it's a sperm and an egg, I don't currently have loads of human beings floating around me, and neither does him. That's not how it works. So that is a thought to have as to those type of scriptures. But on the other hand, kids are a gift from God, so should we not have loads?
We have 4.
We have 4, and as a person who has birthed 4, I'm going to go with, while I love my children, the presumption that I should just have loads and loads and loads because they're a gift from God is not a very good reason to just have children. The Bible talks about how parents and fathers should provide for their children, and as parents we're supposed to serve our children, and if neither of those things are fully possible, well then this is when contraception may come into effect.
Yeah. Are you both comfortable with it? What does that mean? You need to have conversations with each other. Conversation, do some research, have some more conversations. Guess what? Later on, do some more research, because new stuff comes out which will change the landscape of your options. So it needs to be something that you actually discuss and bother thinking about.
Yeah, you need to discuss what type of contraceptions, not just whether you're going to use it or not, and make sure it's a both of you conversation. Sex is not just woman, it's not just man, it's both of you. And so even if you're using things like the contraceptive pill, this is a conversation that the husband should be involved in.
I agree 112%.
But that being said, I've also heard other things where people will say, well, my husband doesn't like to use condoms, and so I will have to use the pill. And they will say things like, well, I am a wife and therefore I have to submit because that is what he wants.
I do not agree 112% on that one.
Very much not. Submission does not just mean blind obedience, and we are going to have videos about submission coming out soon, so make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Another thing to consider is that sex itself is not just about reproduction. It is something that can be enjoyed. But we have a video that approaches this subject. Click the link.